August 2nd, 2017. A couple days off from the vlog to hang out with the kids. We are back, but in bad news, it's supposed to thunderstorm for the next 3 days. I just checked the weather network. It says that this afternoon it is going to there's a 60% chance of severe thunderstorms. It's 9 o'clock now. I just dropped Ashton off to his mom. They are going camping, which is kind of a bad break to have to go camping in the rain for 3 days, but they have trailers, so they'll be fine. I was going to fish this afternoon. First I was gonna go to a new lake today. That's not going to happen with these thunderstorms. I don't want to travel too far. There's not really a lake around here that I haven't fished before. So I've made the ultimate decision that we're gonna risk it all, head to Rice Lake, back to the East End, try and drag up some of those giant smallmouth. And if the storm holds off, get some largemouth fishing in too. It hasn't panned out for us at all this year, but if those fish in the river are biting, maybe those big smallmouth are starting. So storm's coming. Fish like to hit before a front. It's close in case we get rained out or thundered out. Let's do this, kids. All right, we are loaded up. It is around 9:30. Not exactly the golden hour of fishing, but with the storm front coming, this fish, I have a feeling they're gonna bite. Now, I got a question, like, what is the appeal with Rice Lake and fishing Rice Lake? Well, first off, it's close, which makes it my home lake and probably my favorite place to fish. Second off, if I decide that I'm gonna fish tournaments next year, there's no way around not fishing Rice Lake on. You need to learn how to catch those giant smallmouth on Rice Lake. Can't win tournaments anymore out there on largemouth. Rice Lake, other than Simcoe and Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, Lake St. Clair, Rice Lake probably has the biggest smallies in my opinion out of all the other lakes. You take the Great Lakes and those big lakes out of it, I've never fished a tournament where somebody didn't bring in a high 5-pound smallmouth off Rice Lake. Mark Hunter brought in a 5.9 in his club tournament on the weekend. There is gigantic smallies out there, and if you can't find them, you can't win. So with not fishing tournaments this year, this kind of gives me an extra chance to spend a lot more time not worrying about finding them, just going out there and dragging tubes, drag the Ned rig, and stumble upon new spots. I've also haven't been out there since I got the structure scan, so we're gonna see more than we usually see out there. Fishing tournaments, fishing in general, is a lot of hard work. Big ones aren't hard to catch. Big ones are extremely hard to find. So it's all about putting your time out on the lake to find the spots that hold big fish. And when you find the spot that holds big fish, you probably milk that for the next 10 years. It's just getting those spots. So we're on the road. We're headed to the East End. Let's see if we can't drag up some monsters. We have made it, Rice Lake. We go to this boat launch all the time. Basically, it's realistically the best launch in the East End of Rice Lake. It's easiest for me to launch by myself. Smallmouth gear up front. I do have a pile of largemouth gear back there. If we get some smallies, we may spend some time fishing largemouth, but we're really gonna try to grind it out. Storm coming from the west, back in Port Hope. It looks way more overcast here, bluebird skies. But the storm is coming, so hopefully these fish decide that they're gonna bite. We're gonna get some donkeys. Been a tough year out here on Rice. The river just turned on for me the other day. So let's go grind it out and see what we can do. Hopefully we're gonna get some big ones. did not go to plan at all. Wow, is it Rice Lake ever fishing tough. The other thing I should mention, on top of Rice Lake has some gigantic smallmouth and largemouth bass, and is probably one of the best, arguably one of the best lakes in Canada for everything. Walleye, smallmouth, largemouth, has some gigantic muskie. There's so many fish in there, it's unbelievable. But when they don't want to bite on Rice Lake, they don't bite anything. One little rink-dink walleye, one tiny little smallmouth. Off camera I lost a largemouth off a dock that couldn't be 12 inches. And again I hook a giant muskie. I feel like most days, even when it's really tough, if you go home feeling like you've learned something, you've had a good day on the water. I've learned nothing today. Nothing at all. I found no new spots. I tried a bunch of water. I'm totally baffled, but realistically filming this vlog, the last 3 or 4 vlogs have been really easy to film. We caught a ton of fish. It was easy peasy. Realistically, the more you fish, the more tough days you're gonna run into. Made it home. Storm clouds are moving in. There's been thunder on and off for about the last half hour. Boat is charging. Absolutely ridiculously hot out. I gotta clean all the rods out of the boat. I knew fishing would be tough today, just from everything I know from my buddies who go out on Rice Lake the last couple weeks, but I really didn't think it was gonna be that tough. I'm a little shocked. Bad timing, missed that morning bite again. It is what it is. Now, as I'm getting these rods ready to go in the house, because it is really gonna storm. My phone must have got 200 storm alerts in the last hour. We did have a couple questions on Facebook that I said I would answer today, so let's get to those. YouTube. Questions were from the YouTube. Let me find them here. Joe Hunt Fish. Pick spots in terms of which wood to pitch into. That river has an endless supply. Well, we're talking about the Otonabee River, and we're talking about the last vlog, I believe. The Otonabee, for years and years and years, I've been fishing it, and there's good trees and there's bad trees. And there's sometimes 20 trees in a row that produce fish, and sometimes there's 2 trees in a row, and the rest of it's dead water. You basically need to fish it all. I've flipped every single tree in that river, I'll guarantee, from Peterborough all the way to Rice Lake. Now, it does change. When the water in the spring runs off, it moves trees around, it moves all the mud sometimes and fills trees in. That means other trees get better. So it's kind of like you need to fish the trees you know that are good, skip the ones you know are bad. But from time to time, sometimes you just gotta put the trolling motor down and check rows of trees again. You'll find out which ones hold fish and which ones you catch off. And for years and years and years, you'll catch fish on those trees. So you kinda just gotta work through it all. Fish as many as you can. Mark your waypoints. Good trees. If you catch a fish on a tree, until that tree changes, you'll always be able to catch a fish on that tree. Devo Outdoors. The river is awesome for junk fishing. Do you use the jigs with rattles on it or not? Let me get my rod and I'll show you exactly what I use. And when I mean use to flip trees, I mean 90% of the time. When I'm flipping trees in that river, this is what I'm using. Flipping jig, this rattle is shot, but it's basically a mini flipping jig, 3/8 of an ounce. Rattles are on there. All I do is use some kind of craw trailer. This one's kind of beat up, but this is what I like to use for swimming. Hook it on there, shove it up the shank of the shaft, and that's it. That is what I use on the river 90% of the time. Throw it on a G Loomis 7.5 medium heavy extra fast rod, and on that I have a Daiwa Tatua reel, 50-pound braid. That is the rod and reel that I use most of the time when I'm bass fishing. Out of everything I do, throwing the jig is my favorite thing to do. It is an absolute, the best way to fish docks or trees, any kind of cover that you're flipping into. I need to unload the boat, so I'm gonna do that now before this storm hits, because I don't want to carry those rods in while the thunder and lightning is happening. I don't feel like I've been downstairs forever in the old dungeon. Tough day. This vlog feels like it's gonna be really short, just because I got up, I drove Ash to his mom so he could go on his trip to Niagara Falls. Then I hit the lake and I fished hard from like 9:30 to 4, little to no success. I lost another big muskie on a 2. YouTube of all things. There was a tournament going on out there. Those guys probably smashed her up good in the morning. I didn't even know there was a tournament on until on the way home. So tough day. Weather, it is starting to rain outside. I'm gonna cook Amber dinner. No kids tonight. Relax. Over the next 2 days, it's calling for severe thunderstorms and like a heat advisory. Tomorrow it's gonna feel like 33 Canadian. Friday, 35 degrees Canadian. So if I can fit a vlog in, I'm gonna do it. If it's nasty out, I'm just gonna skip. Saturday's looking good, and from then on, it just gets back to regular kind of summery, 25, 26, no heat advisory. So Friday I gotta do the old blood draining. So we'll see what happens, but there's a lot of stuff coming in the next few weeks. Make sure you watch. There is some exciting news. There is going to be a way that you guys can come hang out with me, meet me, hang out, chat fishing. I will give you more details in the future. It should be exciting. If you live in my area, you're gonna wanna come down and you're gonna wanna stay tuned because it's gonna be pretty sweet. Guys, girls, old and young, please subscribe to the FearFishing YouTube channel. Follow on Instagram, Snapchat. Even if we're not able to vlog, I will make sure I update my stories for you can stay in tune with what we are doing. Hopefully you guys saw on Instagram Ashman dancing to Kung Fu Fighting. That was pretty funny. That kid's funniest kid on earth. What else? What else? There was something else I wanted to tell you about. Next Thursday, let me get the official date. August the 10th, FearFishing webcast is back live on the FearFishing YouTube, FearFishing Facebook channel. Make sure you check that out. I'm going to cook dinner. Amber should be home in a little bit. Stay dry, my friends. If you're anywhere it's thundering and lightning, hope you have somebody to hunker down with. We'll see you soon.